Hi everybody, it's Chris here from the Gallagher Shot YouTube channel and host of the All With Smiling Faces podcast, back with another brand new video, keeping the content coming here on the channel. So, Eddie Howe's press conference was earlier today, as always, Friday morning, and a lot of focus was on upcoming game against Manchester City, obviously. But he did touch on the cup final defeat to Manchester United. A lot of reporters and journalists asking questions as to what it felt like afterwards and can it affect the season going forward. Eddie Howe did come out and say that he watched the game almost immediately afterwards. Later in the evening, he sat down and watched the full game back just to have a look at what went wrong at Wembley. I think a lot of us as a fan base have taken a few days. It took a few days to get back into the swing of things and basically catch up on sleep after the party went through from Friday all the way through to Monday for a lot of people. But Eddie Howe said that he feels as if that his ambitions can't go. Basically, his passion, sorry, not his passion and motivation can't get any higher. And he said that he's shocked that it has done. I think that defeat has just spurred him on even more. It's made that drive, that extra bit more, and wanting to have such a decent finish to the Premier League season, because I think we're all in agreement now that the league games had taken a bit of a hit. Performances weren't bad, but they just weren't at the standards that we have seen before the World Cup break, I would say. And that goes for a lot of players as well, and we'll touch on some of those players in just a moment. Moving on from the cup final, I think as a fan base, as a team, as coaches, as ownership, we just have to thank them for getting where they got to and reaching the Carabao Cup final. But all focus is on the league now. All guns blazing. We have to go and end this well and try and secure that top four spot, which I know it is going to be difficult. Informed teams like Manchester United catching up, overtaken with even. But fingers crossed that it doesn't take us too long to get back into the swing of things. And what a better place to start than Manchester City. Eddie Howe was questioned on Anthony Gordon. Basically, he comes out and just a couple of quotes here. He says that Anthony Gordon's got a big part to play. He's been working hard in the background because when he came to us, he was a little bit short of high intense fitness. Sums up his time at Everton really under Lampard. We saw Eddie Howe when he first took over as manager of Newcastle that he was drilling this team, intense training, something which the lads weren't used to under the previous manager and Steve Bruce. That the lads were getting a lot of days off during the week and more days off than what they were actually working probably. And it looks similar from Anthony Gordon's transition to Tyneside. He's into it now. He's straight into the team fitness regime. We know how energetic and how much of an engine that these lads have on them. And we see that every single match day. We are graphing right up until that final whistle, right up until the end of the game. And Anthony Gordon, he's very, in regards to a footballer, he is very direct, and we're probably going to see the best of him. Probably a hell of a lot better than what Everton saw of him, because if his fitness levels have gone through the roof, just like the rest of the team, and I look at the likes of Joe Willock, Almiron, Joe Linton, Sean Longstaff, the lads are covering a lot of ground in football games, and they're still doing that towards the end of the game, just like they were in the first couple of moments. So, with the directness of Gordon driving forward, trying to create chances, hopefully that's going to be a hell of a lot better now. And will he start on Saturday? I doubt it, if I'm being honest. I think Eddie Howe probably will stick with Almiron. Personally, I think Almiron may need a bit of a rest and a bit of time out of the team. But I don't think he'll change it just yet. I think he'll give that partnership with Almiron and Kieran Trippier. And Bruno, even if you throw him in the mix with the triangles, which we have been creating throughout games, I think Eddie Howe probably will stick with Miggy. Anthony Gordon's time will come. We've seen in the past that Eddie Howe likes to take his time introducing these lads into the Premier League. And I know Anthony Gordon's got Premier League experience, but never mind that. He likes taking his time bringing the lads on and getting up to speed with how the team play. So his time, like I said, his time will come, not just yet. Maybe after the Man City game, that might be a chance for Eddie Howe to experiment with certain things. I'd be very, very surprised if we see that for Manchester City. It's going to be a tough game anyway without those changes, and it might be a wasted chance if Eddie starts making these changes now. But we'll certainly find out an hour before kickoff. Moving on, another player who hasn't really been getting many starts is Alexander Isak, and Eddie Howe touched on him as well. And in regard to the impact which he's had, and he said that he's improving more in training, and he understands what he wants from him, which is always a good sign. He also says that he's still probably not at the peak of what he can be, but he is getting closer to doing that, and that he's got so much to give, and that he will add a different dimension to this team. I think we've all seen that. We've all witnessed what Isak can do, whether that's starting games or coming off the bench. I think, just like I mentioned with Almiron, I'm going to be shocked if we see Callum Wilson drop out of that team with the way Manchester City play. And I know we did go toe to toe with them at St James's Park earlier in the season, but I think with the intensity that Manchester City will have, I think we'll be looking at hitting them on the break. Yes, Isak's got speed, but I think we'll be more inclined to look at the likes of Callum Wilson back to goal, holding the ball up, and bring the likes of Alan St. Maximin and Almiron into to play, and even the midfielders, Joe Linton, Bruno, Longstaff, whoever it may be. So I think it will be Callum Wilson that starts. Looking at the game itself, though, Eddie Howe said that he don't think our principles have ever changed. We're going to need to be very good defensively, which we have been majority of the season, almost all of it, apart from the handful of games. He says that we need to be very good with the ball. Yes, we do. I think we have been sloppy the last couple of weeks, been giving the ball away far too easily at times. And Manchester City are the type of team that can punish you from the smallest of mistakes. So we need to be switched on. We really do. But they can hurt teams. I know we have been pretty solid throughout the season if we look at it as an overall rather than just the last handful of games. Stop chances. That's, I know it's easier said than done, but the less chances that we give Manchester City, then the less goals we're going to concede. But it's Manchester City. Odds are against us on this one. It hates us. I hate saying it, but it is what it is. We're years behind Manchester City. But with the projection that this football team is going on, hopefully we will catch up in the not so distant future. Just to end it as well, I think we do need to mention this one because it was brought up in Eddie's press conference. Keith Downey, Northeast reporter for Sky Sports, mentioned Ryan Fraser and the future that he has at this football club. And I'll quote Eddie Howe word for word here. Eddie said, Ryan's training with the under-21s. I made a decision to concentrate on players who are committed to Newcastle and for the benefit of the group. Has there been a fallout behind the scenes? Has Ryan Fraser not been pulling his weight? Has he showed some sort of dissatisfaction about not getting game time, not making the bench some weeks? Well, we're yet to find out. I think we would all be in agreement to say that Ryan Fraser wouldn't have had a future at the football club for much longer anyway. He hasn't been the signing that we thought we were going to get. That partnership between him and Callum Wilson, what we saw at Bournemouth, just hasn't happened. Far from it. He's been injured a lot of the time. So God knows what's going on at training. Keith Downey went on to then say and ask the question, does Ryan Fraser have a future at this football club? And Eddie, quite honest, says life and football can change quickly, but at the moment, he hasn't. So yeah, looks like Ryan Fraser will be one of the first ones out the door in the summer. I think there will be a lot of players going out the door. A bit of a shock that he has been forced to train with the under-21s, but all trust in Eddie Howe here. If you're not wanting to be involved with this team, if you are not backing the lads that are playing and starting football games, then we don't need you anywhere near those. We don't need any negativity, only positive vibes going forward. So yeah, that's it. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the Gallagher Shot YouTube channel. You would have seen that we have had plenty of stuff going out this week. Earlier in the week, I did do my predicted starting 11 for that game against Manchester City. You have a match preview out on there, which is hosted by Scott, and he is joined by Joe, Ian, and Harry. Always Smiling Faces podcast, as always, went live on a Monday night. We'll be back this Monday. Plenty more stuff to come. Watch what he's doing. See you later.